Today in the crypto space, we see a bit of green price action to the upside. Bitcoin still hovering around that $27,000 mark, up approximately 1.5%, and Ethereum hovering around that 1,650, give or take, up 0.5%, give or take. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are pretty much in the green with some good movers. Look at Altcoin. However, guys, in today's video, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that is super bullish, and it's definitely looking really strong right now. But the question is, should we be taking profits? And that project is called NAKAMOto Games. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts. Let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of that volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. And of course, guys, join that Discord. Great community, lots of good alpha trade setups, fundamentals, learning material, and all that good stuff. All right, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. Bitcoin getting a little bit of relief to the upside, 1.6%, nice little bounce, of course. However, this hesitation is not really convincing for me. Not really convincing. There's not much volume. Of course, today we'll talk about Bitcoin. We'll use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. We'll take a look at the Bitcoin chart, and then we'll take a look at NAKAMOTO Games chart to see if Bitcoin can be a leading indicator to tell us where this capital could be flowing and how it will impact NAKAMOTO game price. Okay, so first we're going to do that, and then we'll first we're going to go through the general market, and then we'll go take a look at Bitcoin and NAKAMOTO games. All right, so let's continue. We see generally the market is still grinding to the upside. And it's all because of Bitcoin. We can see that Bitcoin is still getting its push to the upside. It's still getting its relief. It's still, the momentum is pushing up, which is very healthy for Bitcoin, very healthy for the rest of the market. But the question is, what is going to happen when Bitcoin gets overbought on the daily and it starts to roll over? Now, the question is, when that finishes, are we going to get a further continuation to the downside where we're actually going to be making lower lows in the short term, right? This is the reality. Now, I'm not talking about macro level lows. I'm talking about local lows, making lower lows, and eventually, you know, testing lower levels, of course. And if that were to happen, we have to anticipate that the altcoins will come down with Bitcoin. But in the meantime, we are definitely being defensive. The reason why I say defensive is because Bitcoin and the rest of the market is still swelling to the upside, which means that you should be in some gains if you've gotten in a little earlier. Of course, you should be in some green price action for sure. And in that case, you should be protecting those gains. Okay, so in today's video, of course, we're going to be talking about, you know, how we can use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, especially for profit taking. And then we're going to talk about NAKAMOTO games and what we should be doing with regards to that price action. Let's continue going down. A lot of sideways, but still grinding slightly to the upside. You can see some of the gains, 2%, 3%, give or take. I would say that would be one of the most, these are the most healthy gains right now, about 3%. And if you keep on scrolling down, you know, there are some that aren't really even doing much. Cosmos, Atom looking pretty good. You know, HBAR going sideways, and many other altcoins still kind of going sideways. Arbitrum getting a bit of relief, higher highs, higher lows. Nice little trend to the upside, up approximately 10% in the last 7 days for ARB. Optimism not really doing much, going sideways, not showing much strength, but Arbitrum is definitely showing us a bit of strength. Caspa, you know, in the last little while, it did get a nice little relief, but at, you know, in the last 24 hours, not doing much. Double topping, triple topping. At the end of the day, I see a sign of weakness here in that we could see Caspa potentially rolling over. For me, in my opinion, obviously not financial advice, I wouldn't be getting into any fresh longs on Caspa. The time to go long has passed in my book, and I'm looking for entries on other projects that have yet to rally up. Caspa did a great job. You know, you should be in some profits. You should have taken some profits already. And of course, if you still have an allocation, which I always suggest, always keep some for long-term spot positions. Those will definitely benefit if Caspa continues to the upside. But your risky portfolio, your risky positions, if you're using leverage or if you're overexposed, take a bit of profits, guys. Trail up those stop losses, because some of these tokens have been rallying up, or projects have been rallying up significantly. You don't want to be caught, you know, holding the bag. Definitely not. VeChain going sideways, but I'm liking what VeChain has been doing lately. A nice 10% bounce to the upside. Algorand looking pretty good fundamentally. Definitely getting some volume in there and some interest overall in Algorand with their upgrade. So I'm interested to see Algorand do some very good things in the near future. Stocks looking pretty solid, up 10% the last 7 days. And of course, if you the list goes on, slow grinds to the upside, give or take 1 to 3%. You know, more or less, right? Look at Neo, 3%. That was a pretty big one. What else do we got here? KuCoin looking pretty good. Nice little breakout there, up approximately 4%. And the list goes on, right? So nothing really drastic here. Nothing really drastic. I do feel like this is an overall relief to the upside, maybe a bit of a consolidation to the upside before we potentially get a lower low and confirm, you know, maybe a trend to the downside. And that's what a lot of people are expecting lately, is that Bitcoin might be rolling over in the immediate short term. But you know what happens there? When a lot of the conviction is bearish, we could get a sweep of the highs, let it get a, you know, a deleverage individuals, and just basically get people wrecked before we continue down. Now, of course, I sound very bullish right now. I mean, sorry, bearish. But ultimately, I'm very bullish. Ultimately, I just want to prepare for buying those dips at those lower levels, because we want to buy low and sell high. And that's the way you basically pack a bag for the next bull run. We want to be able to buy low, sell high, ride the peaks and the valleys, and accumulate over time. This is a time to accumulate and DCA. All right, guys, let's take a look at the charts. Guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin. Then we'll talk about Nakamoto Games. If Bitcoin can give us a leading indicator, some sort of edge to tell us what could be happening with regards to money flow and the overall capital that's entering the market, that would be great. So right now we see Bitcoin showing a bit of strength in the last little while, and it's all about the momentum, guys. We got that nice bullish divergence, and we are definitely getting that follow through price action to the upside. The momentum right now is exiting the chop zone, which means that it's very likely, like we said yesterday, the day before, I've been saying, guys, as long as we are upward sloping, expect Bitcoin to continue propping up the market, and expect that shorts are going to get wrecked. So be careful getting into shorts. Okay, if you're going to get into shorts, you got to put quick and tight stop losses and protect yourself, because I don't feel like this market's going to give you an opportunity to short anytime soon, especially as the daily continues moving to the upside. And we do have this MACD on the daily looking pretty strong. Green histogram bars to the upside, and EMA still facing up. So my opinion is, obviously not financial advice, if this continues this way, either we continue going sideways, or we finally break out of this area and get through this volume gap and hit about 28,800, 28,900, give or take, right around this area where, you know, we don't have a lot of supply and demand to act as resistance. The resistance begins right around this consolidation above that 28,800, give or take. Okay, so this is something that I'm looking forward to, is that it's very likely that we do get that pop to the upside. And if that does happen, expect a lot of the altcoins to do very, very well. Now, with that being said, which altcoins? In my opinion, the ones that did very well already are probably not going to continue doing well. Reason being, it starts to get risky. You know, if you're up significantly already, if a project is already significantly up, the bulls are not going to want to get into something that the likelihood is going to continue going sideways, or maybe it does get another leg up, but a very small one. Whereas if you get into a project that has yet to lift off and is still at the bottom of the range, collecting support, getting bullish bids, and getting higher lows at the end of the day, showing a possibility that we're going to get a spring off of some sort of back test, that is what you should be looking for right now. So look at the sleeping giants, look at the tokens that have been retracing, look at the tokens that are showing a bit of support, because if Bitcoin does break to the upside here, we can get a little bit of a spike in those altcoins. And you know, if they're lower caps or mid caps, they could definitely do well. So again, momentum wise, look at the RSI getting out of the chop zone, potentially looking for overbought scenarios. If it does get overbought, guys, expect a continuation and some good volatility to the upside. And let's get into the 4-hour real quick to see what's going on here. We got overbought. We're getting a bit of bearish divergence as we speak here on the 4-hour. So be very careful here on this breakout. It may not happen. We may get rejected on this horizontal resistance. This is the issue here now. On the daily, we see a continuation up. On the 4-hour, we're hitting a bit of resistance. So what does that mean? Could we come down, back test, and get a little bit of a confirmation, maybe at the bottom here at this point of control, and then continue based on the daily momentum and using the daily momentum to go long? The reality is, going long on the 4-hour is risky. So when is the time to go long? Again, could we get another better entry? Yes, wait for the 4-hour to fully reset, wait for it to come down and get into oversold conditions, based on the fact that right now, you know, price action is going up. on the daily, and you can see that price action is going up, and the momentum right now on these two tops, 1 and 2, we're getting a bit of divergence. We invalidated this divergence, but now we're getting another divergence right here, right? That's the reality. We validate, we go to higher levels, and then you'll have to be able to get that conviction once again. Now, the reason why I have more conviction here is because we got into very overbought conditions on the momentum oscillator. The MACD, very indecisive in my opinion. Not much actionable momentum indicator here. Look at this sideways choppy squiggly lines. For me, that's not really a type of momentum that shows me conviction, and that the reality there's a direction that we can rely on. So we broke above the 200 on the 4-hour time frame. It's likely that we get that bounce, but it's also likely that we do get a bit of a reversal on the 4 hours. So for me, no fresh longs. Honestly, no fresh longs. Waiting for a retracement on the 4 hours, probably your best bet. Wait for the full retracement to oversold conditions. If you're going to go long and expect to follow through, guys, that's the time, and expect to follow through based on the daily, right? Because the daily, again, just to recap, the daily still moving to the upside, which means that we should get a continuation up, but we need to be able to ride the ebb and flows on the 4 hour and get a better entry. On the 4 hour, this is not the best entry, taking a bit of risk. Of course, as a breakout scenario, it could be really good, but as many breakout traders know, breakouts don't always happen. Fakeouts they do happen often. So we can get a bit of a fake out and then come right back in, and then you're going to get in trouble. So if you're going to do it, wait for a breakout, wait for a back test, and then get in on the back test with a bit of confirmation. That would be healthy. But really, I'll be waiting for the 4 hour to fully reset before I go long. Okay, so that's my take on Bitcoin. Now, that if we anticipate a 4 hour pullback on Bitcoin, what does that mean for altcoins? What does it mean for altcoins if Bitcoin continues going up on the daily? It means that overall the market's going to hold up fairly well in the next little while, in my opinion. But on the short term, maybe in the next 24 hours to 40 hours, we could see a little bit of a dip. So let's see what Nakamoto is showing us. You know, Nakamoto is one of those projects that I was fortunate enough to really get in very, very early. Okay, so I got in very early. So my overall position right now, and the way I think about Nakamoto and the risk that I'm willing to take on Nakamoto, is a little different than maybe if you're on the sidelines. But I'm going to try to address both scenarios. If you happen to get in early, you know, if you've been following the channel for the last little while, what I mean by early is here where I was accumulating and basically talking about Nakamoto, that I'm interested. We then did break out very aggressively, and this was a nice consolidation, a nice bull flag that we basically continue to the upside. And here we can see that we identified a volume gap that we broke right through this volume gap. We actually back tested the volume gap, didn't have enough strength to break below. The 200 daily continues trekking right behind the price action, and then we got another bull flag. This other bull flag now is currently basically breaking out. And the reality is that we're breaking out, but with not much conviction, in my opinion. Now, again, I'm not bearish on Nakamoto Games. I'm super bullish, but I have to be aware that I need to protect some of this capital just in case we do roll over. Now, we're gonna kind of see if we can connect a few dots here. We're gonna use this top, and see what's going on with this top, and kind of be a little accurate. And I'll thicken up that line so that we can, you know, maybe use it a little bit more with more visual appeal, and give it a bit of let's say importance, right? Urgency. Look at that. Now, we could potentially get to this level for sure. Definitely get to this level and create another touch. Why not, right? Nothing in this chart is suggesting you can. Swing high to swing low. You're looking at a potential extension level 1.27. That's where we're reacting right now. And the next area to watch out for is the golden pocket extension level, the 1.27. If you follow me on here on the channel, I talk about the 1.27 and the 1.618 extension significantly, especially when you get into areas like this, like almost like price discovery, right? Yes, we got price action looking left, but no volume in that price action. Look at the VPVR showing us that there's no supply and demand here to act as resistance. So in that case, we kind of have to tread carefully, understand that, you know, extension levels may be respected based on Fibonacci theory, and that's why we're using that 1.27 extension. Now, let's get some of these momentum oscillators out. And unfortunately, as we are climbing, and you can see we're making a higher high here, of course, as well, this high, the way we are right now with this RSI, is not convincing. In fact, it's showing me a bit of weakness. The price action created that higher high. We're getting a few rejections at that 1.27 extension, and as that is doing that, you can see that the RSI is not creating a higher high. In fact, it's a lower high, higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the RSI. That's class A bearish divergence. Now, This is the issue here. We're not getting any real horizontal resistance based on price action. So you're basing your exit, if you're going to take profit here, based on Fibonacci theory. And the reality is that this top is not confirmed. We can continue going to the upside. That's the truth. We can invalidate this bearish divergence by just creating a higher high or even double topping or something like that. Or we can get 3 drives of bearish divergence while we continue making those higher highs. This is the issue with divergences, is they don't react quick. They might take, 3 drives, 2 drives, ideally 3 drives possible, and on each drive we're still making higher highs, and in that case you're exiting way too early. Right, so we got to be careful, and this high is not even confirmed. We can actually blast right through this lower high on this RSI, which means that we could potentially invalidate. So let's make this a spider line. So we're very clear that at the end of the day, this right here is very hypothetical. If we continue making lower highs on the RSI, it is very likely that we make this bearish divergence, and this is a scenario where we might get that rollover. Okay, so this nice W breakout. Now, this W breakout, you can see the W eventually, if you look at it, is a nice little wedge to the downside, a bull flag, right? Let's take a measurement, right? A measured move out of this bull flag should take you equal to the opening of this flag, or the base, or the back of the flag, more or less. And some people might even take a measurement of the flagpole. Okay, that's very acceptable as well. Now, if you do one of these and you take it to the breakout, guys, we're at the 1.27 extension. That's the reality. Okay, so we've hit a target. Now, if you do one of these and you take the flagpole out of this bull flag, and you do one of these and you go like this, where do we go? Much higher levels, right? We go much higher levels. Now, I'd rather be modest and start taking profits a bit earlier, but I do want to pretend that for the fact that we could be continuing to the upside in the short term, and I don't want to take profits too early. So for me, an ideal way to do this is trail up a stop loss. If you're an early investor or have bought in a lot earlier, you don't want to sacrifice your gains. You definitely want to trail up a stop loss, at least at this level, at minimum at this previous consolidation. Because imagine if we backtest and come down, you're going to be giving back your gains to the market, which is very, very unfortunate. Now, if you happen to get in on this, bull flag, and you happen to get in on this green arrow, which I've been saying, this is a good level of support, and we held it at support with a nice little bounce here. Also, guys, this is an opportunity to take a bit of profits, trail up the stop loss, scale out of your position, because position size is obviously one of the ways that you can mitigate your risk, basically removing the exposure to risk that you could roll over. And that's that. Look at the MACDs, EMAs facing up, and the RSI still trekking to the upside, so still very bullish. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. It is definitely consolidating here, and this is something to consider as we consolidate with this double top right at this level. The previous high, which is this one right here, is lower. So that's unfortunate. Let me quickly go on the daily. Let me quickly change the view of this. Visual order, no. Yeah, right here. This interval, will make this on the daily as well. Visible interval, only current interval, and do one of these as well. Okay. Now, when we go in the 4-hour, we can see that ultimately these two tops right here, are getting a bit of divergence, very slight divergence. If you exclude the wicks, you can see that's a double top, while this is downward sloping, meaning the tops on the RSI are coming down. That's class A bearish divergence on the 4-hour. Okay, are we at critical levels of resistance? A little bit. 1.27 is a good resistance level, but no horizontal resistance and no price action really to suggest that we're going to get that reaction to the downside. So something to consider as well. Guys, we're definitely overbought. That's something else to consider. Overbought scenarios means that eventually the bulls should get exhausted here on the 4-hour and get a bit of a pullback. And we do see that the MACD, guys, is looking for that cross to the downside. We're getting an EMA cross, we're getting a red histogram bar to the downside. So overall probability, obviously not statistical, just statistical analysis here, we could say that there's a chance that this thing rolls over to come down to lower levels and gets fully reset in oversold conditions. And if that were to be the case, that would be a good scenario to potentially enter again based on the 4-hour scenario and wait for a bit of a reaction to the upside. But overall, guys, the daily, back to the daily, It came from overbought, got a little bit of a reset, came back up. Or if we get that lower high here on the RSI, and we start to see the MACD show a little bit of weakness based on what's happening on the 4-hour, and the 4-hour rolls over, we're going to see these EMAs slowly curl over, and we're going to get pale green histogram bars, and that's when you potentially want to take a bit of profit. Okay, so we're trying to stay one step ahead. I know there's a very hypothetical scenario. I still feel like this leg is not the strongest. You can even see that it didn't even break out with some conviction. The volume, in fact, is coming down as it is breaking out. I'm bullish on Nakamoto Games, but I'm not willing to risk my gains or my initial investment at all. In preparation for this bull run, I want to make sure that I collect all my gains and pack bags for the next leg up in this case. Now, the 200 daily is obviously trekking here. We can come right back down, touch that 200 daily, and get a nice bounce off of it and continue to the upside. And if that does happen, guys, I expect Nakamoto Games to really bounce really hard off of this orange line. It's Nakamoto Games is Japanese, and Japanese projects right now are super bullish. Something to consider as well. All right, guys. I think overall this price action is leading us to believe that we need to be defensive, and what I mean by that is trailing up stop losses and taking a bit of profits off the top. Guys, I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30. Guys, if you find any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor and slap that like button. And of course, if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. The Discord, guys, check it out. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and all that good stuff. Guys, see you tonight, 7:30 Eastern, where we're going to talk about crypto news and price action. Take care, have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.